Good morning, Michigan exporters. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're delighted that you could take the time, spend a bit of time and a moment with us to talk through online business development tools, hear from a Michigan company, and also hear from the MEDC about programs and how what we call a helping hand that the MEDC provides Michigan companies. So without further ado, just while I see the last of you logging on, just some quick introductions to say who we are and where we're going to be talking about today specifically. So just sort of starting off as a company. We are IBT Online. IBT stands for International Business Technology. We are 100% focused on online solutions. So websites, online marketing, strategies, videos, AI, and we're known for our international scope. So we provide, known for international websites and international online marketing. And we were really pleased to develop something called the Online Global Programs. And this really focuses on sort of mid-cap companies who are looking to grow internationally. And we've tried to sort of make it a clear path, an easy path to walk down with clear steps to help. And this is sort of a well-trodden path by now. We've been running this out for quite a few years in several US states and also more recently in Canada for that. I am really pleased today to be joined by Alyssa Tracy, who's the Director of International Trade for the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So thank you very much, Alyssa, also for your help and support with the Online Global Programs and all the international trade managers as well. We really appreciate it. And so this is going to be talking a little bit about what the MEDC brings and some of the aspects that you can tap into. Really pleased also that Sarah has joined us. She is the marketing designer and director for Armor Protective Packaging, a strong, wonderful Michigan company that perhaps many of you already know. And she can talk us through a little bit how Armor sort of what it's doing, how it is, where it's going, what it's looking at internationally, what role the websites bring. And me, my name is Susanna Hardy, and I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. There'll be a couple of polls during the webinar. We hope that you participate, and we have left some time at the end for questions. So what we're going to talk about today, though, as I said, Alyssa's going to start with the MEDC, then Sarah with a Michigan's exporter story, and then I'm going to talk about why we think that Michigan exporters need online business development tools, and what are those tools? They're websites and marketing. And then, as I said, I've left some time at the end for next steps, questions, responses, anything you'd like to ask. It's really your time. You know, we appreciate your time, especially we appreciate that you've come to this webinar. Let's make the most out of it. Hope to give you lots of practical tips, practical help and assistance, and put in your questions. If we don't answer them now during the webinar, we can always email you afterwards for specifics. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Alyssa if you're there to talk a bit about the MEDC.
Thank you, Susanna. And I will just briefly discuss the support that the MEDC can provide to Michigan small businesses that are looking to grow their international sales. We have a very robust program that encompasses everything from grant dollars to free support and a lot of technical support from our international trade services contractors. IBT is one of those technical support providers, and we're grateful for their partnership in helping Michigan companies further understand how they can make their business more successful in a new market in some really unique ways. So next slide, Susanna. So our team has a very robust set of team members here that you can see below, who are all dedicated to making sure that your company has the opportunity to grow in the right market for you. So I want to take a second to focus on the middle section here, our field-based international trade managers. We have 5 international trade managers whose sole goal is to connect with you, understand what your business's goals are for growing internationally, and connect you to the right resource at the right time in order to do that. Our international trade managers are not based on a specific industry or a specific section of the world. They're all able to help any request that a company might have. They're simply geographically based around the state of Michigan. So depending on where your company is located in the state of Michigan, that will impact which manager you'll speak with. But you can always go to, if you don't know who your international trade manager is, below we've got Chris Bozio, Wei Wei Liu, David Newhouse, Jake Schrader, and Brendan Cherry. If you don't know these names, I encourage you to go to michiganbusiness.org/export. The first button on our page says, tell us about your company and connect with us. So that is our export intake form. If you're not yet connected to our international trade manager, just fill that form out. I think it has under 10 questions. And you'll be contacted by the international trade manager to set up a time to connect and take a deeper dive into what you're looking to accomplish and how we can help you do that. Next slide. So this is just more of a breakdown on the trade managers and which territories they cover. So next slide. Now, one of the main program resources that we like to offer Michigan companies is our grant dollars. The My Step grant program is available to Michigan companies. This year, we have just under $2 million that we are able to provide to Michigan companies to support a variety of export activities that they might be undertaking. So I think the next slide will have more of the specifics on the uses of the grant dollars, but essentially these grant dollars are available for Michigan companies to undertake a variety of activities. You can keep it on that slide, Susanna, if you want. The grant program is a reimbursement program. So a company would need to take on the expenses originally for conducting an activity like a sales trip or exhibiting in a trade show, or even walking this trade show floor, and then connect with us afterwards to submit reimbursement, and we'll provide up to 75% of reimbursement of the costs that had been incurred, up to $15,000 total per year. That $15,000 does not have to be spent all at once. It can be spent on multiple activities throughout the year, but $15,000 is the max that any company can be eligible for. One thing to know about the My Step grant reimbursement is that these dollars must be pre-approved. So there's no retroactive approval, unfortunately, for taking part in activity. That's why I encourage you to connect with your international trade manager early and often to make sure that you have an understanding of what costs can be covered that your company may be considering or maybe planning to take, regardless. So you've got a lot of costs that are listed here. Of course, travel that you would take to meet with a prospective new customer, trade shows, like I mentioned, marketing media, international marketing media, sample product shipping, some new items that we added within the last year due to COVID-19 were e-commerce platform expenses, international certifications and compliance testing into a new market. So we want to make sure our program is as nimble as possible. And the IBT Online services, those fall under international marketing media. With a partnership with IBT Online, we do have some initial costs lowered as well. So lowering that barrier to entry for Michigan companies to participate in some of the IBT Online programs for Michigan companies. So know that the STEP grant dollars are here. They're available for you. They're federal dollars. Michigan has actually been awarded the top award every year, but 1 year since the program has been established in the past 10 years. So we're really proud of our winning track record in winning federal funds to then give to Michigan companies in support of their international activities. Next slide. So like I mentioned, we just need to know ahead of time if you are taking on any of those international activities, including the IBT Online services. All you have to do is request reimbursement within 45 days of the activity end date. So you've got some time. You don't have to do it the week you get back. It can be within 45 days after participating in an activity. And then what we ask, this is very important, we ask for a period of 2 years that you tell us on a quarterly basis how your international sales have been impacted as a result of that activity. We do that for a period of 2 years because it's not often that a company will realize a sale with a new international customer within a month or 6 months or sometimes even a year of some of the activities that you take. It can take a while to develop that pipeline, and we certainly understand that. And we just want to make sure that our program is having an impact. And thankfully, we've had a tremendous impact over the last several years since this program has been reestablished. We actually just hit the $5 billion mark in facilitated sales being reported by Michigan companies that have received services from the MEDC. Next slide. So you can see here the timeline of how those sales have been realized. And the slide's a little bit out of date. We've got to update it for FY22. But again, those facilitated sales have now surpassed $5 billion. And we're so excited to have such great results for Michigan companies. Next slide.
Well, that's it.
All right.
That's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Susanna, for the opportunity. And we certainly want to make sure that Michigan companies are accessing these dollars. And the way to access those dollars for IBT Online services and any other service or any other activity that you might be doing to increase your international sales is contact your international trade manager. So again, if you don't know who your ITM is, contact us at michiganbusiness.org/export. And that first button, you can fill out a form and your ITM will contact you. And you can tap into your $15,000 for this year.
Elizabeth, thank you so much. I'm actually going to launch a little poll. I'm intrigued to ask, as the audience today, are they already exporting? Are you already doing business internationally? If so, how? Have you got an in-market rep? Are you online only? Are you a combination of both? What's it looking like for you? And just click on. I have to say, thank you so much. You're a very reactive audience. I appreciate that. You're all clicking away. It's interesting. I would give you a little bit of feedback on that. About half of you are online with a local partner, and then it's split between the other possibilities, but about half are online, sorry, not online, but with a local partner only. So that's really interesting. Thank you. I'm going to close that poll and then and turn also to Sarah to talk a little bit about sort of armor protective packaging and sort of that Michigan story. Sarah.
All right, thank you so much, Susanna. So just real briefly, I'm Sarah Choate. I'm with the marketing and graphic design team at Armor Protective Packaging. And we've loved working with the IBT team and being part of the Michigan Online Global program. So I just want to kind of give a brief overview of who we are at Armor and why we chose to be a part of the Michigan Online Global program. So Armor is a manufacturer of rust preventatives and rust removers. So primarily what we're doing is we're creating, or we're coating, I should say, our packaging materials with rust preventative chemistry called VCI. So that metal manufacturers like OEMs, tier 1s, tier 2s, and tier 3s that ship metal parts or store them can use our packaging materials to prevent rust from forming. And so being a part of that, we're a provider of preventatives, rust preventatives to OEMs, tier 1s, tier 2s, and tier 3s. And what that means is that our customers are part of a global industry. So we have partners in locations like Canada, India, China, Mexico, and Japan, etc. So if you go ahead to the next slide, you'll get a chance to see what some of those international websites look like for us. So when we built these international pages with IBT, we had three main goals or just general things in mind when creating these. One was branding and consistency. The second was showing our global reach to our customer base. And the third was a localized and correct content and language on these pages. So when we reached out to IBT initially, we actually were already in the works of creating a website for our US customers. And in that point, we had already put in a great deal of effort into establishing our branding online. So when we reached out to them, we were really looking for them to keep our international sites and global reach consistent with our already established branding. And I think they've done an awesome job in doing that. If you look at our different sites on the slide, they all look uniform and consistent, and that's exactly what we were after when creating these. So if you go ahead to the next slide, you'll see pages that we refer to as our product pages. Again, I love how they look so consistent across the board, no matter what site you go to, whether in Mexico or in China, they look similar, which is exactly what we wanted to do. And a huge part of these pages is we are able to have product documents, PDFs, information about our products, translated in different languages and easily available, whether to download or look at across the board, no matter where you are in the world. And it's consistent with how we present our information on our US site, which was a huge win for us. And then if you go to the next slide, you will get a chance to see our frequently asked questions and as well as our contact pages. Again, they've done such a good job of creating these pages, and they actually provide you with translations services. So if you need that, they do a great job in researching and ensuring that you're using translations and verbiage on your sites that are consistent with what your international markets that you're trying to target are using on their sites, and actually what they're using to search for your site. So, you know, a lot of the time you may use a translation on your site, and on the surface it's correct, it's accurate, but it might not be what that market is actually searching, and it may be that they're searching a different translation or terminology altogether. So IBT really did a fantastic job of ensuring that our sites are translated correctly so that they can not only rank competitively, but rank well in search engines internationally. So I would just say overall, we've loved working with IBT. It's been such a great experience. They're so easy to work with, and they've really helped us establish ourselves online internationally. So that should be it for me. We've been really happy with IBT and being part of the entire program.
Sarah, thank you so much. It's very, very kind of you to say all those things. Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear all that. I know we said we'd keep questions to the end, but I think you're resonating with quite a few people. There's quite a few questions that popped in. I just want to ask one, if I could. I know I'll throw you a curveball on this one, but if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
The question is, it looks like you have these for your distributors. You know, yes. That's one question, because these are for your distributors. What do the distributors think of these websites?
So I believe that the distributors have actually really, really liked these sites. You know, it's kind of taken some work off of their plate and making resources easily available to them as well. You know, we have partners we actually have distributors, like a primary distributor globally, right? So in China, we have a primary distributor, in Japan, a primary distributor, in Mexico, etc. And then they have smaller distributors that they kind of work with. And, you know, the goal really was to make sure that, you know, if somebody in Mexico is looking up Armor, that they're seeing, you know, if they see our US site and then they see a Mexican site, we want to make sure that looks similar and that they're not seeing a distributor site that may look different. And then they start to question, well, is this Armor? It creates a credibility. So it's actually been a pretty positive experience for our distributors as well.
Great. So the brand development on that side. And there's another question coming. You're listening, a lot of interest. So another question I have is, how do you manage all these sites?
So,
I guess that's a good question.
yeah, it is a very good question. I honestly, I would say you guys have made it very easy for us, you know. But I personally, and our team as well, we have access to the back end. So, you know, if we make an update to our US site, it's really easy, genuinely, for us to go on the back end of these sites and just make that change as well. So it's been, I mean, I'm not super tech savvy, and you know, it's actually been a pretty easy for me personally to manage. So
Good. Okay. Great. Well, there's a couple more come in. We'll leave it for now. Otherwise, you know, poor old Sarah. Okay. But thank you very much, Sarah, for all that.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, as I said, there's a couple more questions coming in, and we you know, this is a webinar dedicated to you guys, to Michigan exporters. So now's your chance. Put in those questions. We're liking this very much. Let's talk about sort of, you know, these. Let's start with the why. It's more interesting than the how. So the why, and you're always told never to have lots of numbers on a slide deck, but so forgive me for this. But I find the numbers so stunning, so compelling, that it's worth having a quick think about this. So there's 8 billion people on the planet. That's stunning enough. 5 billion are on the internet. So 5 out of 8 billion people are on the internet, and nearly the same number, 4.76, on social media, which I just find that just stunning. And you know, you say, okay, yeah, but the internet, you know, my granny goes on the internet once every 2 weeks for online shopping. Is that really an internet user? No. The average time those 5 billion people are online, 6 hours and 37 minutes. And they're spending 2.5 hours of that on social media. So there's 5 billion people spending most of their waking day online. Now, this is good news. This is good news for Michigan exporters. You know where your international audience is. They're online. You know how to contact them through social media and your websites. So that's why I think that these numbers are worth really thinking through. Everybody, all markets. I mean, you know the people around you in Michigan and the USA are all online all the time, but the whole world is also online. I guess the point about that is that it's a trend, and we've seen this. I mean, everyone's going crazy about AI and ChatGPT and so on. This is moving very quickly as well, and we're seeing a real push for increased digitalization, and you know, your prospective buyers are really demanding to have a seamless omni-channel, personalized route to market. If you know, the attention spans have shrunk, and they want what they want when they want, and that goes for B2B, B2C, B2G even. So you know, the future of sales is very much driven on the online side. So make sure, I guess if this is the first takeaway of this webinar, first takeaway is the world is online. So please do make sure that your websites are working really hard for you. Make sure that your online strategy is on point and that your websites are working hard for you. Otherwise, you know, they're key to it. So now we're going to talk about website localization, this term, website localization. What does it mean? What does it mean to have international websites? And Sarah gave us some great examples there. They're extensions of your core domestic website. But the question we're often asked is, okay, I've got this, you know, Sarah said, you know, we just rebuilt our Armor domestic US website. Why can't we just put some Spanish pages on it and that'll reach Mexico? A couple of Japanese, it just doesn't work that way. And the reason it doesn't work that way is search engines are localized. In other words, they take from the searcher's point of view. And I'm using Google here as an example, but search engines include Amazon, it includes YouTube. So, you know, a lot of different portals are used as a search engine. So not just Google, Baidu, Yandex, the big ones, or Naver, global search engines, but a lot of the portals that one uses. YouTube is a great example for that. And they are all localized. They cater to the person looking, so from their point of view. So you might think that you have the best product ever, and everybody should know about it instantly if they go on the web in Peru or in Canada or in Germany. But if you're not relevant to that market, if your website or your marketing is not relevant to that market, you're invisible. A city example which comes from COVID and the fact that I have a dog who always interrupts webinars. So on the left-hand side of your screen, you go to Google in Grand Rapids and you do squeakless dog toys, and you get chewy.com, amazon.com, freedompullharness.com, etc. In London, the UK, I go onto Google and I type in squeakless dog toys. So same search engine, same words. I get different results. I get amazon.co.uk, interesting. I get bettyandbutch.co.uk, bustle.co, anyway, other, because, what is it? Freedom Pull Harness is not relevant for the UK London market. So a silly example. Sarah mentioned keywords and the importance of having those keywords in the different markets, because it's what is the actual person search for? What is your prospective buyer? What are the words, the terms, the long tail keywords that prospective buyer is looking for? So here's an example of the word auto or car in Mexico, where you would say auto. 73% of people use the word auto. In Spain, 9% of searchers use the word auto. 91% use the word coche. So make sure your keywords are correct. So your localized website, we've talked a bit about language, but there's lots of criteria that go into a localized website. Language is one criteria. The rest are mainly technical aspects with regards multilingual navigation, the correct domain name, the correct URL, regulatory environments, hosting optimally, and such. So the cosmetic front of it, the face of it, is yes, all about the language and the keywords. The back end is just as important. So I guess takeaway number 2 from this webinar is basically that you can use those websites as a fantastic sales rep. And given Armour's experience there with Sarah, those are the tools that you can also give your local reps in order to maintain your brand, so that your local rep, your local distributor doesn't just sort of take over your brand and suddenly you see your brand on a place that you don't want it to be seen. You control your brand internationally because you control your online space in no matter what market it is. And I think this is actually if this example is for Indonesia or something. I mean, you can go anywhere, but your localized website is your best sales rep internationally and the best tool that you can give to your local rep. And just getting back also to Alyssa's point about these online global programs that we've developed for Michigan exporters, they're a well-trodden path. They work. We have a lot of case studies that show good return on investment, and we would encourage you to have a look at them. And hold on, I'm going to have another poll about this. You don't have to answer right away, but it'd be nice. So would you like to learn more about localized websites and the online global programs? If so, let us know. If you're still thinking about it, let us know. We're happy to send you some emails or other blogs or things like that where you can discover more about them and learn more about them as you go. And just let us know what you want to do with those. And again, thank you very much for the fast response, folks. It's terrific. We really appreciate that. Thank you. All right. And just to give you some feedback, the majority, it's about evenly split between thinking about it and contact me. So about evenly split, but I'm very happy to see that. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, I'm going to close that poll. I think about 1 or 2 others. And let's talk a little bit about marketing as well. I mean, these days, the internet is as we saw earlier, I mean, it was 5 billion of us all online at the time. It's a competitive place. Websites without marketing is tough. So we would say, you know, a marketing strategy is vital and can be tailored to all budgets. But think right from the start, okay, I've got my website. Who uses it? What happens with it? How do I use it? How do I make it, keep it fresh, keep it lively, keep it up there in the rankings, and really make it work hard for me? Now, marketing is interesting. You know, I've put this slide up here just to say, just to reiterate, basically a prospective buyer, a lead, sort of enters into your orbit, becomes aware of your product because they're looking for something. That's sort of an awareness. They start looking at that product and other products and considering you. They evaluate the product and hopefully have gained enough trust in that to purchase. This journey, this buyer's life cycle, looks very neat that way. It's barely that neat, but that life cycle is punctuated by events. And events can be trade shows, they can be a mail out, they can be a LinkedIn article, they can be a webinar, they can be all kinds of different things. But online marketing creates those events. So online marketing is all about event creation, digital events that pull the buyer's journey along to the purchase, to the conversion. That's how you want to think about online marketing. They build the trust that's needed for that buyer to actually make that purchase. You need a certain level of trust for that. And that's what online marketing should be doing in all of your international markets. And I wanted to share this with you as well. Online marketing, social media users, sorry, this one's a bit out of date, July 22, but it's very similar today. The yellow arrow there is the USA. So 77% of the population use social media in the USA. And if you just, there's way too many things on this slide, but all of those countries to the left of that arrow use more social media than the USA. So if you're looking to get into the New Zealand market, 82%, Singapore, 87% using social media. Again, so they use it in different ways, however, and it's worth thinking about how your international buyer persona interacts with you, what they do with you, and how they are. So I've listed a couple of questions here on this slide on the left-hand side. In what way is the buyer persona different internationally versus domestic? Is your distributor a buyer persona in a sense? How do they interact with you? How do they engage with you? In what way are those journeys different? And on the left, there's a screenshot of L'Oreal USA. And I find that quite intriguing. I mean, L'Oreal is very careful about where they are as a global company. Here's USA, all women on the top floor of business, all very engaged. I think all of them are almost all of them are online for something. If you go to L'Oreal Mexico, it's a little bit of a different vibe. There's more collegiate. You see how they're all huddled around, and there's two men in there too. They're still in the business environment, the top floor. Everyone's got great hair, L'Oreal after all, but it's more collegiate. It's a different vibe to it. And even if you look at, say, Chile, again, slightly different vibe. It's more relaxed. So it's very relaxed. Its bright reds are very nice. It's less urban. It looks more almost like an apartment. But again, collegiate, everyone online, 2 people versus 1, fewer people. So again, L'Oreal is very aware of this. And each time they want to resonate with a local audience. So these are very, very, very subtle differences. But nonetheless, reflective of a different buyer persona in each case. Another way of looking at buyer personas internationally is when you compare what you do with them and how they react to online marketing. And here's an example of Mexico versus the UK. So Facebook, pretty well the same ad. Okay, one's in Spanish, one's in English, all that stuff, but pretty well the same at the same time. And we were very happy with those engagements in the UK. Getting over 1,000 engagements in the UK is not easy. But look at Mexico, 20,000, over 20,000 engagements. Amazing. Those are, however, vanity metrics. So that shows you the engagement. That shows you how many likes and loves and comments and shares and reactions you get. the engagement of the buyer persona, a very different buyer persona engagement level, UK to Mexico. If we look at conversions, it's a bit different. Conversions are the yellow and green bar chart here on this Mexico and UK. And you'll see that the blue and red, which is the engagement, are very high in Mexico. Conversions pretty well the same as in the UK. So this tells us that our Mexican buyer is very different from our UK buyer. He engages much higher, but converts at about the same level. So we know that we need up to 5 times as many engagements in Mexico to get the same level of conversions in the UK. I just want to give that, not talk about the UK or Mexican market, but just show you that different countries have different buyer persona journeys. And this is something that we see a lot with Michigan companies who go globally. I mean, this is a great Michigan company. They were getting ready for a major trade show, and they do a lot of work in the Middle East. And we run all their campaigns, and that is, so it's a well-trodden path. It's a good path to go down, but it is specific to each country and each market, each region. I just wanted to point out as well that the online marketing always has to always has to align with your business goals. So what are the business goals in each case? That's the first thing you really have to define. If you're saying this is a new market for us, we really need to grow our brand in that market. In that case, we got to work on awareness, just the awareness. And that's all about followers and shares and likes on engagement side. But if you're like, no, we need to, everyone knows us. We've got some leads, but we're not getting into the conversion side. But then we need to have email signups and so on. So, same platform, different objectives. Always define your business, always align your business objectives with your online marketing objectives, and also always measure them in order for the analytics to make sure that you're getting the right ROI on that and the continuous learning that goes with it. So I guess the takeaway number 3 really is that online marketing is a fantastic way of reaching the right person at the right time with the right message. So defining your buyer persona in those markets, engaging with them in the way that they want to. Right. I guess before we go on to sort of the big questions of takeaways and so on and questions, if you would like to learn more about the online marketing side, about because we have the programs for that as well, let us know. We'll be very happy to, again, send you some blogs or point you in the right direction or have a one-on-one, totally up to you. And you've been a terrific audience. I have to say, just get on those buttons and click it right away. I appreciate that very much. Thank you very much. Okay. There's a couple of questions that just come in as well. You will be getting a recording of this and slide deck and the recording, I think tomorrow or Monday at the very latest. Right, I'm going to close that poll and let's go to sort of the takeaways, the next steps, some of the big points that we wanted to finally. So before we get to the Q&A, I wanted to sort of throw in a little slide, just one slide, just talking about some of the latest trends. We mentioned them earlier when we talking about sort of digital first and these omni-channel things, but it's worth thinking about as well some of the big trends we're seeing, which are really pushing websites, pushing online marketing into some very interesting directions. The first I want to highlight is personalization. Even though we're all on these platforms all the time, there's an increasing demand for a personalized touch. So Web 3.0 is a word, some people calling it Web 4.0 even, but Web 3.0 is certainly a more personalized approach to each time. So there's a lot of experimentation going on with websites and also with the marketing side to tailor it so that the person interacts and then sets the way that they want to see the information online. It's a very interesting trend that we're seeing. The next is the continuous trend for videos. and moving forward with videos as the best way to present information and drive it forward. Meta, obviously, has been around for quite a long time, but it has sort of not really taken off. But we are beginning to see our clients for the first time in 2022 asking for us to present them with a meta choice, which I think was amazing. So we now have some of our clients doing things in the metaverse. And finally, AI. You know, the ChatGPT has really lit a bonfire under the thing. And I made the mistake of subscribing to various newsletters, and I'm just inundated with the amount of AI being applied to everything and everywhere. And it is a tremendous tool. And I would say, you know, get on board. It is an amazing tool for content, and we're very happy to talk about that if that's an interest. So then the takeaways, just sort of reiterating them. The first, obviously, that really the world is online. Make sure your toolkit is working hard for you on that. Then your localized website is a great tool and sort of the core basic that you need for your international markets. And when we talk about those websites, we really are meaning a localized website, so relevant for your local buyer. And also that you can reach the right person at the right message at the right time in each case with a very structured marketing approach. Our website has got a ton of resources that you can download for free on the resource section, on markets, on online tools, on e-commerce, on everything possible online. And we would, you know, encourage you to if you've got questions, if you've got things that are you're researching and things, please go ahead and have a look on that. And then finally, just to say, we do have these online global programs. Let us know if you would like more information on those, or if you'd like, or as Alyssa said, contact your international trade manager through Michigan and the MEDC, and they can put you in touch and tell you more about it. With that, I want to sort of open up the floor to questions. I'm sort of curating the questions at the moment. And I've got another one in saying, yes, we will send you a recording of this webinar, the slide deck, I think tomorrow already. A quick question also for Sarah, which is when you did the grant application, how much management time does it take?
That's a great question. I know personally my other coworkers on the marketing team, they worked a little more closely with that. It did, I don't recall it taking a lot of, you know, manpower or time. It was pretty easy to navigate and pretty easy to manage. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about that one.
Okay. Good. One for Alyssa, which is, can the MEDC help me do a distributor searches?
Absolutely. Our foreign offices, we have coverage in over 130 different countries. They can help Michigan companies look for distributors that might be applicable to them in any market that we cover, which is almost any market that a Michigan company would be doing business in.
Oh, okay.
And that's available at no cost. I will want to mention that as well.
Okay, great. Then get on board with that. It's terrific. There's a question as well as, do I contact IBT or do I contact MEDC? And that's the whole question is. So I think
great question. I think a great place to start would be contacting MEDC so they can get you connected to IBT. You can always contact IBT. There's really no wrong door to enter. But the International Trade Manager can get you set up with regards to the STEP grant applicability for offsetting the cost of IBT Online solutions. So we're all partners. There's no wrong door, no wrong contact to connect with first. But I just recommend getting in contact with MEDC sooner than later if you're interested, so that you can understand what the pricing is going to be for your company for utilizing IBT Online services.
Terrific. There's two technical questions which I think I'll try and handle. The one is about security on hosting. So for example, for the websites that we create, we host them optimally, we host them locally, but we use obviously huge companies. We don't host with some local little thing. So we're using companies like Liquid Web, Nexus, Amazon Web Services, who provide a global content for that. So that's what we would do. And this has, I mean, Liquid Web, I think, has 99.9% uptime. They're backed up all the time. So I have, we knock on wood, we haven't had any, any issue to date for that. But we're on it. We don't take that as a in a complacent way either. But we do use and spend a lot of time on security. The other question is about e-commerce, which work best internationally. There are lots of different platforms for e-commerce. The ones that we would recommend depends a bit on what kind of company it is, depends on your product and what you're used to. If you have Shopify in the US, in Michigan, then shoot for Shopify if that's what you know best. If you don't, I personally have a big preference for WooCommerce over Shopify. It's just a whole lot more flexible. You're better in control. It's a lot cheaper. So I would recommend having a look into the WooCommerce side. They both work extremely well globally. Those are the two platforms that I prefer the most. WooCommerce is about 47% global market share, and Shopify has about something like 15% market share globally. So those are the ones. There's another question that's just come in about currencies. And currencies, it just says, can you help with currencies? I'm not sure what that help in what way. For example, on e-commerce, you would have plugins on the e-commerce websites for the currencies that would help with the currencies, and that can give you real-time spot differences. I'm not sure if that's what you meant, or Alyssa, if you have any thoughts on currencies?
Yeah, we certainly can't help with exchange rates, but our foreign offices can help you better understand maybe how your product should be priced in order to be competitive in a different market based on what the exchange rate is. And so that's all I have to add on that.
Okay, thank you.
We can't control anything, but we can help you understand and better navigate.
Yeah, even MEDC can't control the currencies. It's
we try.
You say. I guess one last question just for you, Alyssa, is we've applied last year. Can we apply every year?
Yes, you're encouraged to apply any year that you are taking on international activities to grow your international sales. So yes, you're welcome to reapply every year. We want to make sure that all of our dollars are out the door every single year. So definitely apply frequently, often, and connect with your international trade manager to just get a better understanding of all of the costs that you could be taking on to grow your international sales that could be offset by the STEP grant.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. I hope that we've given you an overview of the MEDC services. They are a tremendous asset for Michigan companies. We would really encourage you to get on board, reach out. They're terrific people, great to work with, but they're also very able and with a huge experience. So do reach out to them. Sarah also is a great example of a company who's, they're doing really well. They're blossoming. They're managing their international businesses. They've got their distributors in control. They've given their distributors good resources and good tools to make sure their brand is consistently portrayed internationally. And then we're always here to help as well in any way we can on the online world. Don't hesitate to reach out myself or direct or via the international trade managers, the MEDC. I want to thank Alyssa very much, as always, for her support and help, and the MEDC team for the great work they do. And a big shout out to Sarah for always being there and having being such great support as well. Thank you all also for joining us today. I know that it's not easy to carve out time for webinars, but thank you all for joining. We hope that we gave you lots of practical help and tips, and we look forward to seeing you online and in person. I think we're coming over to Michigan soon, so I hope we'll come and see you all. very soon. With that, we're going to get you back to your desks within the hour. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you, Alyssa, Sarah, and all of our guests today. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day. Right? Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.